And as you know, I have a soft spot for generators, especially inverters. They are very quiet, fuel efficient, and produce very clean power. All my personal generators, they are inverters. And this one kind of stood out. This has some features that mine don't have, and I thought this was worthy of a closer look. So it should automatically switch over to propane, and that light will light up. So let's crack the valve, and the light's already on. We already transitioned to propane. Hardly even noticed it missing a beat. Things are looking good at 3,000 watts. The engine not having any issue at all pulling that load. THD is only at 1.2%, and the sine wave looks unchanged. So anyway, enough talking. Let's get this fully hooked up. We will get the engines started, and we'll see how much we can get out of these when running in parallel. At 3,000 watts, the engines hardly even notice the load. If we weren't running in parallel, we'd actually be close to the max. If you remember from earlier, 3,500 watts was the tipping point. So if we turn on the third space heater on high, that's going to bring us up to 4,500 watts, which of course we couldn't do if we didn't have the parallel cable. So let's try that. Now we're at 4,500 watts. Seems like there is no issue, so I'll give it a minute, and then we'll bring the load up to 6,000, and then finally find its limit. So the engines, they're definitely working pretty hard at 6,000 watts. I can feel the heat of these 4-space heaters from here. So yeah, pretty impressive. Now each of these technically aren't exactly 1,500 watts. On high, they're actually a little bit more. So with these 4 on, I'm estimating actually that it's closer to 6,200 watts. Plus we have another 100 watts for that light, so that brings us to 6,300 watts. And if I turn this last space heater on low, that's another 600. So that's going to put us right to the point of overload, and we might actually cause a shutdown, but let's try it. And yeah, the machine here on the left, it's slowed down, and I can actually see that overload light blinking a little bit. So if we leave it like that, it's probably going to trip the inverter. But it's definitely holding its own. Anyway, let's get these shut down. We'll let the engines cool down, and then we'll shut it down. Well, guys, that's pretty much a wrap. These machines handled pretty much everything I threw at it. And as we saw earlier, the power quality was extremely good at about 1% THD. Now, the scary thing is that, I have two Yamaha EF2000s. When I run those in parallel, they produce less power than just one of these machines. And of course, if you put two of these in parallel, you're producing a lot of power. 7,000 watts, that rivals some of the larger portable generators. So pretty impressive. Anyway, if you want to find out more about these, I will leave links in the description. And I wanted to thank Erayak again for sending these to us so that we could learn a little bit about them.